Alright everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a vehicle which is one of the features of the upcoming update in the next in my What to Expect series, the Dassault Rafale. And by the way, for any Frenchmen who watch this, I apologize in advance for my pronunciation of any French words. Today, I'm diving into everything we know so far about its possible variants in War Thunder, focusing on the ones we might actually expect to see in game. Like with my previous videos, I'll be looking at production versions and major ones, not necessarily every single prototype and every single possible variation that exists. Technically, every standard that I'm about to mention could be used on any Rafale, but some simply weren't. And speaking of, before I get into the standards, I want to mention the major differences between the three versions of the Rafale that I'll be speaking of. We have Rafale B, Rafale C, and Rafale M. Rafale C and Rafale M are the most likely to be the vast majority of the versions in War Thunder, as they are both single-seat aircraft. The Rafale C is the best air superiority version, and the one which we are getting next update in the form of the Rafale C F3R. The Rafale M is the carrier-capable version of the fighter, and, as is per usual for a carrier version of the aircraft, it is heavier than the land-based version. Sources seeming to indicate between a 3 to 500 kilogram increase in weight. It also gains a longer nose gear as well to help with carrier operations. Think FGR versus FG Phantoms in the British tree. The Rafale B is the least likely to come compared to the others, being a two-seater that was originally intended for training. It was fully capable of combat, and it was actually considered superior for strike missions in real life. In-game, however, it would simply be a Rafale C that is both about 350 kilograms heavier and also has less fuel capacity to boot. We don't have any kind of split workload in War Thunder. Since we're talking overall Rafale anyways, I figured this is a great chance to talk about the performance of it as well. Just like with the Eurofighter, this is another aircraft that should have exceptional flight performance in War Thunder, and it will likely be able to beat just about any American 4th gen in the dogfight, assuming nothing crazy happens to the flight model, because it has been kind of all over the place. For a dual-engine plane, it is remarkably light, our F3R for example weighing less than 700 kilograms more than the F-16C Block 50 in-game, while also having substantially more thrust. Delta Canar planes perform exceptionally well in War Thunder, and I doubt the Rafale will be any exception to this rule. With the Rafale and Eurofighter being the two features of the update, there is a lot of talk over which will be the better dogfighter. Based on what I've read of the Rafale, it should be capable of higher instantaneous turn and more AOA compared to the Eurofighter, but with sustained turn I can't be quite sure, as the actual values are very classified and no one seems to agree. The current dev flight models after the second flight model change give it more pull but worse sustained turn rate than the Eurofighter, but everything is subject to change and I would not put any kind of stock in it. Regardless, I think it's safe to say it's going to be a better dogfighter than the Mirage 2000, and it will be slower than the Eurofighter as well. The Rafale C tops out around Mach 1.8 and the Rafale M has a top speed of only 1.6. Just like the Eurofighter, it's stated to have a super cruise ability, so long as it's equipped with 4 missiles and a supersonic optimized drop tank. Combine all this flight performance with its Spectra defensive system, which by the way provides full 360-degree coverage, spherical, for your RWR, MAWS, and laser warning system, the reduced radar cross-section that it should have, likely even stealthier than that of Eurofighter, and you have a solid 4.5 gen aircraft. Starting off with the standards I mentioned earlier, we have the Rafale LF1 and F1, which are exclusive to the Rafale M. Remember, the M is the carrier-based version. This early in development, the naval Rafale was given the full priority, as the French Navy was still operating FA Crusaders at this point. These variants predate the Mika IR, their best IR missiles being 2 Magic 2s in the wingtips, and having the familiar Mika EM missile for radar missiles. The LF1 lacked a gun, but the F1 added the Nexter 30 M791, which is also known as the DEFA 791 in service. Later F1s also had their M88 2E1 engines replaced by 2E4 engines, which are standard in every Rafale in use today. The thrust is the same, so it wouldn't be a big deal in War Thunder, it's just the newer ones simply had lower fuel consumption. At this stage, the plane already had the RBE2 PESA radar as well, but it was limited to purely air-to-air mode at this time. Moving on to the F2 standard, this is the first that was universal across all variants, the most massive improvement for air being access to the Mika IR missile. This is France's current best IR missile with an imaging infrared seeker, similar to that of other 5th gen IR missiles like the AIM-9X or IRST. Just like those, it would be essentially unflareable if modeled correctly, while also having high maneuverability due to its thrust vectoring. Unlike these two, however, it would have much greater range, being more of a medium-ranged IR missile instead of a short range like we're used to. Still, it would have less range than the radar version of the missile, as the seeker does have much more drag. This is also when the air-to-ground ability started to be fleshed out, a gigantic thing being the addition of the AASM hammer, which you can already see in-game actually. This is essentially a rocket-boosted bomb, in our case a Mark 82, with some exceptional standoff range and impressive agility. It should also gain access to an airburst mode as well. At this stage in the Rafale's life, it would only gain access to the IR and GPS guided versions of the missile, the IR having both GPS and inertial navigation just in case its terminal infrared guidance was lost, which gives it a better chance to get a hit. Another familiar missile was added here, the Scalp EG. If that doesn't ring a bell, it's the Storm Shadow missile that we spoke of in the Eurofighter video, with over 250 kilometers range and terminal IR homing. I doubt this one will ever actually come to War Thunder. Technically, at this point it became capable of using laser-guided bombs, however it would not get them in-game as it required buddy lasing at this point. As for avionics, the radar remained the same, but it gained access to air-to-ground and sea modes at this point, along with gaining the OFS or Optronique Secure frontal system. This is an advanced IR system that comes in two parts, one of which is an IRST system with up to 100 kilometers range. The other identifier system contains both a laser for range and also allows for visual identification of aircraft. This does mean it's not fully passive, and so if the target you're looking at has a laser warning system, well, they're going to know you're looking at them anyways. F3 is the next major standard of the Rafale, and also the standard that has the most individual subsets. This is also where we can find the Rafale that is coming to War Thunder, along with potential future export editions for other trees. F3 saw some major improvements, even ignoring the nuclear cruise missile it can carry. A major one for War Thunder coming in F3-2 with the addition of the Damocles TGP and paveways, in this case the GBU-12 and 22, with F3-3 adding the GBU-24 as well. This means these will be the first versions of the Rafale that could actually, guide and use their own laser weapons. The next step in the development of basically every 4.5 gen aircraft was the development of an AESA radar, and the Rafale was no exception to this. Technically the F3-4 was already ready for it, but the F3R is the one that first got it. This is the version of the aircraft that we're getting next update, and it comes with the RBE-2AA radar, also known as RBE-2 AESA, which in War Thunder will be the first AESA radar on a plane. Notably, this is the first standard that can use the Meteor missile as well, an air-to-air missile with 200 kilometers range and 60 kilometer no escape zone, though only 4 of these, not the 6 of the normal Mika. For air-to-ground, it also gained access to the laser version of the AASM missile at this point. F3s have also been exported to other nations, a major one which we are almost certainly going to see in War Thunder being the Indian Rafale and the British tree, as an Indian subtree has been confirmed by Gaijin in the future. The Indian one is mostly a normal Rafale F3R, with the notable addition of a kit allowing it to carry up to 8 Mikas, unlike the 6 of the French F3s. There is also potential for it to get its own unique IR missiles as well, as they're looking to potentially arm it with ASRAAM in the future. Notably, it would also have a different HMD than the French with the Israeli Dash, and speaking of HMD, this actually brings us to the F4 Rafale. F4-1 would be the definitive best of the line Rafale, as right now it is the best Rafale made. This was the first of the French Rafales to actually have HMD. They just didn't pay for it previously. This means the Rafale, at least in French service, didn't have HMD until 2023. In-game, this won't be a big deal because Gaijin went ahead and gave the F3R HMD as well, but it is just something to note. Another major improvement, and the bigger thing for War Thunder, will be the addition of the SP3 kit, which gives the F4 the ability to carry up to 8 Mika now instead of the 6 of the F3. Unless Gaijin decides to give the F3R the extra pylons because of the Indian Rafales, this will be the major improvement in War Thunder. Finally, there would be one more improvement when it comes to its CAS ability, and that would be the addition of a new 1,000 kilogram version of the AASM hammer missile. Since one of these can go on the center pylon, this would actually mean you can bring 7 IR guided bombs, the 6 in the wings and 1 in the middle as well. One final thing to note before I wrap up. I'm not going to cover it because it is not finalized yet, but there is actually an F4-2 in the works as well. So by the time we get to the F4s, who knows, it may be ready and come to War Thunder as well. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. This was a very highly requested video, so hopefully y'all are enjoying it. Once again, thank you to my proofreaders and Rafale experts who helped me immensely with this video, and I hope you all have a great day, so I'll catch y'all next time. Peace, y'all.